So I've replaced the hot, humid weather of Louisiana with the cool, dry weather of New York City. It's time for another episode of the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast.
It's time for the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. The podcast you look forward to for all of your news and reviews of the best comic books hitting stands. Whether it's DC,
Batman, Wonder Woman,
Marvel,
Spider-Man,
Image,
Spawn, Saga,
Boom,
Once and Future, Power Rangers,
or whatever book or publisher you follow,
we cover them all here.
this is the place for you.
That's right, it's for everyone.
This is the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast.
Let's get it.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. I am your host, Theo, reporting in from New York City and New York Comic Con 2025. Reporting in as always, as I've been doing for the last few years from the annual event from Repop over at the Javits Center in Manhattan, and got here just in time for some beautiful weather. It's been averaging about the mid to upper 50s during the day, which is absolutely stunning. But this is my day one recap of New York Comic Con, which kind of started late for me. My flight got in super late, so I overslept Thursday morning going into the Javits Center. But when I did get there, what I found was that it was quite busy, much busier than what I've seen in previous years on the Thursday, that first day of the event. But still was able to move around pretty easily. I got a couple of interviews that I'm going to bring to you in this episode. One with writer Tim Seeley and artist Oliver Ono, who are each doing a separate piece in the world of Godzilla over at IDW, and then an interview that I did with Zack Kaplan, who is writing a few books over at Dark Horse. He just finished up Dark Empty Void over at Man Cave Studios, but we talked specifically about Kill All Immortals, which is in the second volume now, and the first issue is already out. Second issue will be coming out pretty soon. But those are going to be the interviews that I show for you today. But just a little bit more about my day at New York Comic Con. Again, probably left maybe half hour before closing. Sun was going down pretty quickly, and so which meant the temperature was dropping as well. But it was a good day. And it was a different setup, at least for professionals and for members of the press, with how they had the area set up for us. And I actually thought it was better. It was all centrally located, so it gave the press opportunity to speak with professionals who might have been in the area. So I enjoyed that and having that access. We were also able to overhear some of the professional only events that were going on that were happening in the area that was right next to our lounge. And again, I really enjoyed that setup. But again, it was a pretty solid day. It was nice to see DC back at New York Comic Con. They had publicized, that they were returning, and they had a booth that was similar to what is typically set up at San Diego. It's not as big from what I can remember at San Diego in July, but it was nice seeing them there today, and they were pretty near to the other booths that I was visiting. They were close to Mad Cave and IDW. They had all of the publishers for comic books pretty much in the same location, which I thought was a great idea. It just gave me the opportunity to, walk around without having to walk too far to get from one booth to another. And I'm going to be spending some money on Friday as I go, and I saw there was a few t-shirts at a couple of the publisher booths that I want to partake in purchasing for myself. They just looked too good to pass up. But It was a good day. Like I said, I did a few interviews, which I will be posting, and it will be in this episode here with Zack Kaplan and Tim Seeley and Oliver Ono. I'm hoping to get Tim back on soon with Joseph Ilyich to talk about the ending of Bloodletter, the miniseries that they are co-writing over at Image. So I'm hoping to do that pretty soon. I was also able to have a good conversation with Tate Brombell, and if you know Tate, he's writing Batgirl. He's doing Green Lantern Dog over at DC Comics, but he is also doing Everything Dead and Dying over at Image Comics, and that has been getting a lot of rave reviews. Jeremy, who has been reviewing it, gave the second issue, which recently came out on Wednesday, he gave it a 9.4 out of 10. So that goes to show how much people are enjoying that series. But I'm hoping to get him on the podcast real soon. We exchange contact info, and so I'm hoping that we can get things going so I can get him on the show. But I will be posting more details about a giveaway that we will be doing for a signed copy of Batgirl Volume 1, which is the mother arc of Tate Brombell's Batgirl series. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be posting details on that really soon. But with that being said, I am going to first turn things over to the interview that I did with writer Tim Seeley and artist Oliver Ono, talking about their separate Godzilla series over at IDW. Again, Tim is doing the writing on the main Godzilla story, and Oliver is doing the art for Spaceship Godzilla. And so here's my interview with them. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you all on the other side. Hey, it's Theo. I am here at New York Comic Con, and I am sitting here with writer Tim Seeley, artist Oliver Ono. Now, you're like, what are they doing together? Well, they're not, but they're in the same universe, writing Godzilla. Tim is doing the main Godzilla book, and Oliver is doing Starship Godzilla.
Starship Godzilla.
Both at IDW Publishing. How you guys doing?
Good, thanks for having us.
Doing great.
Oh, great. So, first question, and best for both of you. Why and how has Godzilla endured so long over these decades with all the rise of kaijus and all the other mediums? How has he endured?
So, I mean, I think, it's constantly evolving. It constantly means something different, and there's constantly something going on in the world that we address.
Yeah,
and
we talked a little bit about. I think Godzilla always becomes more popular when you live in a world that feels out of your control, and it can be environmental. Obviously, the original metaphor was war, and then it evolved to include climate disaster, and now I think you could easily use the metaphor for government, the bureaucracy like Shin Godzilla, or the sort of failure of an empire like Godzilla -1.
Yep.
And then ours is sort of approaching a similar thing of what happens when countries sort of turn inward and try to compete with the rest of the world and outdo the rest of the world because of fear, which also relevant at the moment. So I think the metaphor of Godzilla is always replaceable with the fear of the moment, right? So it's like the reason Batman always works and the reason Superman always works and the reason Godzilla always works is the main structure stays the same, the idea stays the same, but what it stands for means something different, which I think is the evolution.
So you mentioned evolving.
Yeah.
And in both new books, we get kind of an evolvement of the series, of the universe. In the main Godzilla book, we're introduced to Jason, who has the power of Godzilla.
Fire of Godzilla, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you come up with that idea? And when it comes to dealing with an IP, was it hard to pitch that?
No, it wasn't hard actually at all. Toho is so used to there being lots of versions of Godzilla. that they, and Godzilla had been around for almost 80 years, so, the idea has changed, and so they're cool with you bringing new toys to the table, literally, kind of in a way, like you're bringing something new that they can create toys of, and they can create, new movies and new cartoons. Everything is, when you give them a new idea, it's something they could use. And for ours, we wanted, each book being a different flavor, and Oliver's being a sci-fi book,
Right.
And the other one being kind of like a horror, kind of survivalist book. And we knew ours was going to be kind of the little bit like the Sentai kind of approach, but mixing it with American superheroics. And one of the ideas that Jake kind of said from the beginning is like, obviously so many genres come from Godzilla, right? Like the Sentai genre, kaiju comes from Godzilla, all that stuff originates there. But there's all these other sort of big manga ideas that you could come back to and pull into. And one of the ones we talked about was something like One Punch Man or Attack on Titan, where you kind of got these, little people fighting big things. And how would that work in an American comic, which has superheroes in our genre? So we kind of fuse those things. And Jason is that kind of idea of humans shouldn't have the power of Godzilla because obviously we've used it poorly. And now you have a character who embodies that idea. He has the energy of Godzilla, literally the fire of Godzilla, but will he use it for good or will he use it for bad? And then that gives you the question of Godzilla. Does Godzilla use that power for good or bad? Is Godzilla saving the Earth from us? And that gives you the big ideas that that are inherent in the story.
And so now we see Godzilla in space. So when you were approached about drawing this book, what really started churning in your head as far as how you wanted to present this new version of the character?
So, I think the way that it was initially told to me was that it was going to be like, it's Mechagodzilla that's been refitted. And I think there's so many, it's hard sci-fi. And I think there's so many like sci-fi stories that we've seen where that's such a key idea. Technology kind of ripping itself apart and putting itself back together. So and I feel like that's kind of key to like what the Godzilla that is in Kaisei universe kind of represents as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's while of course like Mechagodzilla plays like a big role in it, the universe itself is also such a character that's writhing, So
I think one of the fun things with the way that we've got it set up is, the story of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla, right? Because the movies have done versions of it where he's built to make, to fight Godzilla. And in our story, you don't know yet how that happened, right? We don't know why did Mechagodzilla end up in space, and we don't tell you right away.
And we're kind of starting in the middle of an arc, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the fun things too, is that you have versions of the story that you know, but you don't know which version we're going to go with there. So that, and even myself, while we're working on it, it's like, well, how are we going to bring back in some of these key characters like, Space Godzilla or King Ghidorah or, Rodan or Mothra? Like, how are we going to do that? And that's the fun. Like, you expect them, and you'll probably get them, but how we get there is going to be, that's part of the fun. That's the journey,
Okay. So speaking of the art, one of the things I noticed in both books is there seems to be a commitment to the manga genre. There's really a lot of that in there.
Yep.
What was your influence with the genre in drawing manga?
For sure. So it's strange, obviously manga plays like a big role in it. Specifically though, because so much of manga is black and white, it's grayscale. The line work and the gray tones work differently when it's in color. And so a lot more than manga, I was thinking about like specifically like anime, like watching anime like at night.
But you would do that anyway.
After your mom tells you to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like that's the but you're like kind of sneaking in a dark room. That's how I wanted the whole thing to feel. It was very much like a kind of cozy feeling of like looking at something that maybe you aren't like old enough to look at yet when you're like
your dirty pair experience is the biggest
right.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. You staying up, you're watching Adult Swim.
Yeah, the VHS hit
Right.
under your bed. All right, I'm older than you. Didn't have VHS. What am I talking about? Yeah, you had an Adult Swim. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah, yeah.
Or YouTube.
Oh yeah, we had cable boxes when we were growing up.
There you go.
So was it important for you to have that kind of anime manga touch in it as well? Or
No,
was it kind of pitched
not
to
really.
you?
I mean, like, I think, to me, manga and American comics and all it's a delivery system. It's a medium, and so.
I mean, in Japan, everything is just manga.
Right.
Any comic is just manga.
Yeah,
in
and then
Japan.
right,
It's
exactly.
contextual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I did think like the energy. I think that if you're going to do Godzilla, which inherently has this Japanese connection, and also you are looking to connect with younger readers, it does totally make sense to kind of meet them where they are to some degree. I'm not approaching this as a Japanese creator, and I'm not trying to even say I am. So I'm still going to do it with my influences, and I'm definitely coming into it saying like, that is part of the story. This is a bunch of Americans dealing with Godzilla in a way that the Japanese do not. That is part of the story, right? So I want to make sure, it is a story that you can use that sort of aesthetic, but also we're bringing in some of that kind of superhero aesthetic too. And so Nicola is bringing in those design elements. Like our G-Force looks like a bunch of, chunky 90s X-Force cast stuff, but also they look like they could be part of, a sort of an anime or manga universe as well. So that has to be the case. Godzilla has been around in our world for a really long time. And so the world has evolved to accommodate that, right? So of course they've got sort of Japanese influence things, but also in part of our story, the Americans are trying to be like, no, we can do it ourselves, which they can't. And that's sort of part of the story as well.
Yeah, I met him. I met Nicola when he was at a con in New Orleans. And I told him how excited I was to see his work on this.
Yeah,
site.
he's killing it.
So
It's
this
awesome
is
stuff.
going to be my last question for both of you. Favorite kaiju outside of Godzilla?
I mean, Mothra for me, yes.
All right, yeah.
I mean, okay. It's Space Godzilla. I really like Space Godzilla.
It is
I love
the coolest
Space
design,
Godzilla.
yeah.
Okay.
I like the big Chris. For me, Space Godzilla is just Godzilla, but like a bit cooler. Like
Yeah.
you slap some extra stuff on.
Yep, you're in.
And I'm there. I'm there.
Thank you both. Tim
Thank you.
Seeley, Oliver Ono, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you.
All right.
So again, I want to thank Tim Seeley and Oliver Ono for sitting with me to talk about the two Godzilla books that they are individually working on. Of course, Tim is doing the writing on the main Godzilla title, and Oliver is doing the drawing over on Spaceship Godzilla. And they're both out on shelves right now at IDW, and I want to thank the folks at IDW for getting those two together to sit with me at the same time. But now I'm going to turn it over to an interview that I did with writer Zack Kaplan as we talk about what he's doing at Dark Horse Comics. We talk specifically about the second volume of Kill All Immortals, which is out on shelves now. The first volume came out a while back. The second volume, the first issue, came out a few weeks ago, but it's out on shelves now. So he's done a lot of stuff as of late. I talk about the little grudge that I've been having with him over the ending of his series Metal Society that came out a few years ago. And if you can remember me begrudgingly talking about it in earlier episodes of the podcast, but we talk about his work that's going on right now, including Dark Empty Void, which just finished up at Mad Cave Studios, and the trade paperback is out on shelves for that if you missed out on the individual issues. But with that being said, here is my interview with comic book writer Zack Kaplan talking about Kill All Immortals over at Dark Horse Publishing, and I will see you all on the other side of that one.
Hey, it's Theo. I am here at New York Comic Con 2025, standing here with comic book writer Zack Kaplan. Zack, how's it going? Welcome.
Good.
So, the Asballs are back.
Yes.
And as we saw at the end of Volume 1 of Kill All Immortals over at Dark Horse Comics, Genghis Khan has now made his way into the world. So
Yes.
we now have Issue 1 of Volume 2 out.
That's right.
So when did Genghis Khan become your big bad for Part 2?
That's a good question. I think I always He was in my mind very early on. Even as I was cooking up the first volume, I kind of knew if I expanded it, I was going to have to find other immortals to bring into the story. And I was thinking of like who is the most barbaric historical character that I could go to that could maybe rival Eric the Red, and Genghis Khan was at the top of the list for me. So I think I knew early on, and we certainly gave readers where we were going at the end of the first arc, but definitely did not know much more until I got into the writing of like the second season, like developing the family out more, figuring out that dynamic, figuring out how they were going to play against the Asvalds. And, it's a lot of character, as I think readers will discover, because it's not just Genghis Khan. He has 3 children that are also pivotal in the story and playing kind of very cool roles. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to kind of develop them all. But it was an idea in the beginning, and then I got to flesh it out a lot more.
And we have this new dynamic this volume because the Asvalds are mortal now.
Yeah.
They've given up their power.
Yeah.
So how much play should we expect to see any ending in this volume, or?
I mean, the stakes are very high. The stakes are crazy high because now they are mortal, and as far as they know, they can die, and they've never faced that 1,000 years before, which I think makes it a really kind of human story. Like, you really care about them right out of the gate because they're getting attacked, and they're mortal, and the peril is real. I don't want to give too much away, but I think people who know my writing, I like to write very consequential stories, so there's a lot that's going to happen very quickly, and I think very quickly, as you read it, you'll find out, where the story's going. But they're up against the wall for sure with the Khans out to get them, and they're mortal. Yeah.
Yes, you definitely write consequential stories because I still have a grudge for you killing my friend Gentry in Metal Society. I was really hoping she would survive, but alas.
Yeah, I don't like to play it safe all the time. I think most of my stories, death plays like a very important component to it. I think that there's something about having it be that real. It's too safe and too easy when everyone is always okay. So I like stories like that. So we'll see what happens with the Asvalds, but certainly the stakes are as high as they come for them. Yeah.
So we see at the end of the issue that Dad has popped up. Eric has made his way back to the kids.
Yeah.
Have they really reconciled with him, though?
Oh no. And that's what I love about it. In the first volume, there was one antagonist. It was Frey versus her father versus the family. Now there are 2. You're not supposed to feel like Dad coming back is a good thing. They need him clearly to fight the Khans, but he's also just as dangerous as he has always been. He is a threat to Frey and her siblings and everything that they want out of life. And so now they're stuck. And I love conflicts like that because you don't know if them working with their father is a good thing or not, because he's a bad guy too.
Okay. So, Kill All Immortals, Volume 2 is out on shelves.
It's this one right here, yeah. Look at that.
It's out on shelves now for Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing you're working on. I mean, Dark Empty Void just finished up. What else you got working on?
That's right. Dark Empty Void, the trade just dropped. And then I just launched a new series which just had the second issue come out. It's called Masterminds with Dark Horse. And it's by the world's smartest secret society. And they're inviting you to join. They will open every door imaginable to help you succeed in life, because we all know that hard work and determination and talent and morals, these things are not what get you ahead. Secret societies, nepotism, cutthroat advancement, that's what gets you ahead. And Masterminds will get you there, but you have to be willing and able to win their game. They have a game of puzzles, and it's about a young programmer that gets into their initiation, and he is forced to play very Squid Game sorts of challenges and puzzles and riddles to see if he can become a mastermind. And obviously there's a lot more going on to the story as we unfold. But yeah, it's a real fun ride. This is the first issue right here. I'll bring it up to, yeah, that's the first issue right there. And then we just had the second issue come out as well.
Zack Kaplan, if fans want to keep up with what's going on in your world, how can they follow you?
I'm on social media, Zack Caps, on all platforms, or I have a website, zackkaplan.com. And yeah, both more to come on Kill All Immortals 2 and Masterminds.
And I will definitely have links in the show notes. Zack Kaplan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Theo.
Enjoy the rest of New York Comic Con.
Thank you.
So again, I want to thank Zack Kaplan for sitting with me to talk about Kill All Immortals over at Dark Horse Comics. The first volume has been out a while. It's in trade paperback, and volume 2, issue 1 is out on shelves right now. Be sure to pick it up and take a read if you haven't done so already. I kind of ran across volume 1 just skimming through some books that I had and read through it and really enjoyed it, and ended up reading the entire series, and I'm enjoying volume 2 thus far as well. I should have asked him, how far he could see this series going, as far as who he could possibly be bringing back in a volume 3 or volume 4, because I could see several individuals that could possibly come back, from someone of the likes of Attila the Hun, but we shall see what happens with volume 2 first, and hopefully we'll get more after that is done. But again, want to thank him for sitting with me as well, and I'll be including his contact info in the show notes as well. And by the way, sorry about all the noise, but we're in New York. Next time on the Comic Ben Comic Book Podcast, I will be doing my recap of day 2, which is Friday of New York Comic Con over at the Javits Center. If you are in the area, I believe tickets are still available only for Sunday. Friday and Saturdays have already been sold out, and so if you are still thinking about coming to the Javits Center for New York Comic Con, it is only available on Sunday. I believe that's the only day that they have tickets left. But again, that's going to do it for this episode of the Comic Ben Comic Book Podcast. I will see you all the next time around as I bring you my recap of day 2 of New York Comic Con. I'll see you all then. That is going to do it for this episode of the Comic Ben Comic Book Podcast. I'd like to thank you all for your continued support of the program. The Comic Ben Podcast, as well as the Comic Book Spot, are a part of the Comic Book Source family of sites and media. You can follow the podcast on Twitter X at comic_Ben, or my personal account at BatmanFan_4life. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. We're all over social media. You can also follow our sister site over at thebatmanuniverse.net for all of your news and reviews in the world of Batman. Tune in next time as we give you more in the world of comic books. Again, we truly appreciate your support. But until we meet again next time, keep reading those comics.